Hello everyone and welcome to another devlog for the Kinship project, devlog number 3. Another week has come and gone. What do I have to show for today? First of all, you're going to notice that we're in a dank little dungeon. We're going to leave this place, and as we head back to the house, I do want to talk about how over the last week or so, I've been spending a lot of time working on networking and replication performance. In the top right, we now show the user their ping, and I've been using this to debug high latency and seeing where we land with performance. After a couple of tweaks and fixes, I'm happy to say that really high ping plays pretty well. That said, there's really not a lot to show off when it comes to networking replication testing, so I'm not going to go into super big detail about it, but I will go into detail about these little guys. This is Nug Horn. This is a medicinal plant that is beginning its journey as one of our first collectibles in the game, and they're going to help me show off the proficiency system a little bit more. So I'm going to open up my status screens with the Y key. And I'll also mention early that I do have the status menu synchronized to the player's status finally. It took a little bit of time to finally get around to doing it, but now the hydration and satiation and all of that is actually synchronized to the player's statistics. That said, none of these have impact on the player themselves at this point, mostly because they haven't been designed out. Once I get to that, expect to hear more about how these systems work and how they interact with the player and their attributes. We will look at the proficiency system though, because I didn't go into a lot of detail about how it was intended to work in previous videos. Right now, you will see that we do have some starting prefab proficiencies. These will depend on the race and the class that you choose when you start the game or join a server, but by default, we start off with archery, magic, and fighting as the template for testing. On the left, you're going to see our icon for the proficiency as well as the name of the proficiency and the experience currently needed to get to the next level in the proficiency, as well as on the far right, level that the player's proficiency is at. Currently, all of our proficiencies have 1 out of 100 experience and are at level 1, and I want to show off, when we collect the Nug Horn plant, we do gain the foraging proficiency. And as we collect more Nug Horn, we of course gain more proficiency. If we open up our inventory, we can actually see our Nug Horn flower, and you can see that we finally have stacking items. As I mentioned in previous video, I finally got around to getting stacking working. And so because Nug Horn can stack to 2, it does of course automatically stack in our inventory. We can actually check this by right-clicking the Nug Horn, which is now implemented into the inventory to see the stack height as well as the weight and the description of the Nug Horn. Let's go ahead and collect the rest of this Nug Horn. Fill up our inventory, and close our proficiency windows. We'll go ahead and collect these guys here too, these herbs. And when I open this chest, I do want to show off how the stacking works. So currently, we can stack items on top of one another by drag and dropping them on top of each other. And if we right-click, like I said, we can see the stack size limit. I will say early that I do not have splitting stacks incorporated quite yet. That is probably going to be the next thing I work on, mostly just because I want to make sure that it is cheat proof. A lot of work that I've been doing on this inventory system has been trying to make it as difficult to cheat as possible for players. So there's a lot of checks in place to make sure that players don't have authority over this process and that the server is checking every step of the way whether a transfer can happen. When we drag and drop an object outside of the inventory, we can actually see the count as well. So we dropped a stack of 4 books, and we can see 4 in the title. The system also technically supports having custom models for different stack counts or within different stack limits. So as a stack size increases, we might be able to show a stack of books or something like that. I just haven't gone around to modeling that. That's probably going to be something I work on later once I get closer to, finalized art or more playable art at least. Let's go ahead and collect these books, and we'll go ahead and pick up this chest as well. I do want to mention that inventories inside of inventories are not yet saved. Again, another one of those things that I'm just kind of pushing off for later because it's a lot of tedious work to do, but it is planned and is currently in the works as we speak. I also went ahead and worked on a couple of assets and little small entities like this, so we can of course open doors. And there is a lock and key system in the works right now. Not quite where I want it to be yet, but it is almost there. And we'll just go up to the second floor while I talk about a couple of other things that I've worked on as well. So the chunk system has been expanded a little bit more for performance. Additionally, more of the world's been fleshed out a bit. If I go over here to our teleporter, these are just some placeholder teleporters to help me get to the different islands. I believe this one takes me to this guy. This is that far off island, way off in the corner. Been doing some more sculpting and design work on this island, just for fun. Like I said, it is very zen to work on these little things. And this allows me to show off another feature, which is the map. So the map is complicated, mostly because I don't actually want to show the player where they're at. I do like cartography a lot in role-playing games, and I like players having to figure out where they are. So the map doesn't show where the user is on the map, like a mini map would, and I really don't want to implement a mini map or a system like that. But what the map does do is it does synchronize with our chunk system so that the player can actually see, for instance, this is the Peaceland Island we were on earlier. This is the Greenland Island that we just teleported to, and you'll remember the Frozen Isle from the previous video. And so these are all relative to one another. In fact, I'm going to open that back up and leave it up there. And we can actually see in the bottom right here the actual name of the location based on that chunk system as well. So we'll transfer back over here. And of course, this is the Frozen Isle. So that does work mostly the way that I want it to. A lot of this stuff is generative, though the actual assets for the map I do have to hand draw at the moment. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this look not like just a 2D render, but still be procedural based on the chunk map. So expect more from that in the future, but that was just a quick thing I wanted to get in just to test out the chunk. And in fact, because of this system, I actually figured that my formula for chunk grid information was actually flipped, and I was able to fix that bug as well. So that's it for today's devlog. Again, nothing crazy. I don't like to make these too long, but I do like to show off where I'm at with the project. As I mentioned previously, if you have any feedback, if you enjoy games like this and want to put in your 2 cents about, where the game should go with its direction, if you have ideas for combat systems or proficiency systems or how they should work, again, feel free to make a comment down below because, like I said, my favorite part about this stuff is talking with other people about their favorite kind of immersive sims and games like that. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next devlog.